So, 3 years ago to the day, today, I had brain surgery to remove a cream egg-sized brain tumour. Awake, by the way. You're awake for brain surgery. Spoiler alert. Every year, I like to do something on this day, my little anniversary, because for me it's quite significant. This whole tumour journey, or whatever you want to call it, for me has been interesting, to say the least. So a quick recap. In January 2018, I was diagnosed with a brain tumour, a grade 2 glioma it's called. So grade 1 is extremely minor, grade 2 is pretty okay, grade 3 is quite bad, and grade 4 is holy shit, we've got a problem. Mine had actually been missed on a scan in 2010. I was taken to hospital with a head injury caused by my own stupidity. I drunkenly run into a concrete post, fallen over, cracked my head open. Didn't know until the next morning, alcohol. And then ended up passing out, having a very minor seizure, and was taken to hospital. One CT scan later, and it was a case of wham bam, congratulations, you have a brain. And that was it. Off I went. 8 years later, I'm in a job that I love. I'm at the peak of my fitness level. Never been fitter. I'm quite healthy. But there's a few problems that are starting to pop up. Fatigue, memory, temper. I'm becoming slightly obsessed with things like fitness, working. Like, I've just finished 22 night shifts on the bounce and still managed to find time to train at work in our little gym. I was on a unhealthy, obsessive routine, if you want to call it. We'll go with that. Go back to work after finishing my 22 night shifts, which I shouldn't have been doing. I should have been at home asleep like a normal person, but nope, I wanted to get more overtime in. Not as much for the money, but because I was obsessed with working, and I don't know why. What I do. Spoiler alert, brain tumour. I go to work, sit down as I am now in a meeting, and out of nowhere, I go into some form of what feels like a stroke, and then a seizure, a fairly bad seizure. Go to hospital, congratulations, you have a brain tumour. 1 week later, I meet my consultant, brain surgeon, who shows me a CT scan image from a scan in 2010. That's your brain tumour in 2010. It was missed. But these things happen, apparently. So I walk into the brain surgery quite naively. I thought worst case scenario with brain surgery, the recovery would be maybe 3 months, pushing it. Obviously, I've been told, adamantly told, it'd be at least a year before I was up and running properly again. I ain't having that. I'm too stubborn for that, and I've got things to do. I'm training for fundraising events, Top Mudders, 10Ks, things like that. I'm not going to spend a year doing nothing. Plus, I've got a job that I want to go back to. So, well, yeah, that's the recap. And in case you haven't gathered already, I waffle on a lot. So brace yourselves. 4 minutes in, and I'm already waffling on and segueing. So, a few people have asked me what the hardest bit of recovery is. And it's probably the worst. It's one of them questions. I can give you a great answer and give you some great stories, but the honest answer is the last thing you'd expect. So, the night before the surgery, I was supposed to go to the hospital and spend the night there so that But come 7 a.m. the next morning, I'm ready to go straight down to surgery. And yeah, so before I go to the hospital, there's one thing I need to do, and I've been putting it off all day. It's a just in case video. Couldn't do a letter because my handwriting's shit. Like, yeah, children have better handwriting than myself, like me. So I have to sit in my living room before I go to hospital, set my camera up like this, and record a video for my 2 kids, my friends, my family, just in case the worst happens. As stupid as I was being, and quite naive as I was, thinking the surgery would be a quick, easy, fly through kind of job, I knew there was still the possibility that if I didn't die, I could have a bleed on the brain, which could trigger a stroke. I could come out completely paralysed or partially paralysed. Would I be able to walk and talk again? Yada, yada, yada. But again, I could die. It sounds ridiculously dramatic. Even now, I think it sounds dramatic, but I suppose it's brain surgery. It's not a routine removing a mole or something, I don't know, something minor. Maybe not a mole. Anyway, if you've never had to sit down and record a video for people you love, the kind of video that people are going to watch if you've died, it's hard to understand just how fucking hard that is. I'll openly admit I was a blubbering wreck. No more than 5 minutes into the video, each time I tried to make just the first one. This was supposed to be one for my son, one for my daughter, one for my friends, one for my family. I didn't make it past 5 minutes into the first video. Every time I tried, I'd cry. Even now, thinking about it and talking about it on the odd occasion I do, it's like a punch in the gut. It needed to be done, but I couldn't do it. I ended up going to hospital that night without doing the video, without writing anything down, and I just thought, fuck it, I'll just hope for the best. Obviously, I pulled through enough, so video wasn't really needed in the end anyway. I did suffer a seizure halfway through the surgery, which extended the whole 6-hour job to a 11-hour job. But again, I came out in one piece, albeit missing some bits of brain and the majority of a tumour. Great. So, moving forward, obviously, recovery was supposed to be the priority. For me, there was only one aspect to recovery. And it's only recently that I've learned there's so many more aspects to brain injury recovery. The first thing, which sounds absolutely ridiculous, but for somebody as fucking stupid as myself, the first job is to accept that you have a brain injury. I didn't. So in my little head, it was going to be 3 months of solid training, and then I'll be back up and running. That was before I went into the surgery. The next morning, I realised I'm paralysed on one side of my body, the left side of my body. Brain tumour was on the right, which obviously controls the left side of my body. So there you go, fun fact. Your brain, the left side of your brain controls the right side of your body, and the right side of your brain controls the left side of your body. I think I said that in the right order. If I didn't, tough. Yeah, I focused on physical recovery. You know, I needed to get my arm working, my leg working. What I did miss, as you probably gathered, is my face. So it's hard to notice. So I usually put a lot of effort into hiding it, but fuck it, why bother? So you can sometimes see my face sort of dropping a little bit, like now. Not much, very subtle, but yeah, that's partial facial paralysis. There's a mouthful. Yeah, trying to drink when your face has completely dropped is almost hilarious, by the way. So I spent a week drinking with straws, barely being able to eat. Couldn't even tie my own shoelaces for the first couple of weeks. So quite interesting having to ask a nurse to come over and tie your shoelaces for you. A grown man asking some young nurse to tie his shoelaces, it's something. But I want to move away from, the whole post-brain surgery thing, the first few weeks, the first few months. Because that shit gets quite dark. And nobody wants to see a blubbering wreck right now. And I really don't have the energy for that. So I want to focus on the last year, where I'm at now. Now that I finally admit that I have a brain injury, an acquired brain injury. There's two types of brain injury: acquired brain injury, traumatic brain injury. I won't explain the difference, but you can probably tell an acquired brain injury isn't quite as severe as a TBI. So for the first 2 years, I didn't accept or believe or want to admit that I had a brain injury. So it's only been the last year, maybe just over a year, that I've admitted and accepted that I have a brain injury and, rolled with it. That was probably I think that's the main reason my recovery's taken so long. So I should really script something like this. Trying to be, talking from the heart is just so much more awkward. But yeah, so 3 years on, I find my memory is fucking appalling. My short-term memory is appalling. My long-term memory, I can tell you about a conversation we've had, say, 15 years ago. So there are friends that I've quoted conversations to that we had 15 or so years ago, and they have no recollection of it, but I remember it clear as day, perfectly. Ask me about a conversation we had a few days ago, gone. You can give me a set of instructions and I'm going to stand there and I'm going to smile and nod and tell you I understand. I'm like, yeah, I've got you. And no, it'll be gone. Before you finish telling me your set of instructions, they'll be over my head and gone there and then. I get days where it's okay, and I get days where it's appalling. So I was recently in South Africa in a animal sanctuary, Riverside. Riverside Wildlife Animal Rehabilitation Centre, to be exact, in South Africa. And the reason I've gone is probably sums up the whole brain injury thing for this year. So back end of November, sort of mid-November, mid to back end of November, December, I relapsed with, as far as depression, anxiety, suicidal thoughts, as far as all that went, I relapsed. I'd worked my ass off to get to a good position in life where I was almost happy, I was doing all right. I wouldn't wake up thinking I want to off myself today. I want to. But mid to back end of November, I'd find myself waking up and trying to decide whether I'm going to take the dog to a friend's. I say the dog, my dog, Charlie. Trying to decide if I was going to take him to a friend's and leave him there for a bit and just come home and hang myself. Or am I going to take myself to the woods a few miles away and do the same sort of thing? I just knew I'd had enough. I was struggling to cope with the loneliness side of this brain injury shit bollocks, which is something else I'm slowly learning that I really don't like. Before the surgery, I was extremely social. I had a good set of friends. I never struggled with the whole dating thing. Obviously, my face was fucking normal back then. Post-surgery, to quote an old former friend who I asked what she thought to me being different post-surgery, she said, "You're not the person you used to be. In fact, you're a bit of a cunt now you've had the brain surgery." And that's something, it took me a couple of years to figure that out. Yeah, I'm a bit of a cunt. The personality change. My personality changed drastically in the months after the surgery. It's hard to explain. It's one of them another video jobs. But yeah, so my personality changed. As I say, memory. Let's try again. So, yeah, back end of November, December, I was constantly waking up, not wanting to be alive. Simple as that. I realised I was getting so fed up with the side effects of this brain injury that I'd slowly started to accept existed. I mean, the most obvious one you've probably already picked up on is my speech. I trip up on my words. I forget how to say certain words. I lose track of where for example, I've just had to pause the video because I lost track of where I was. I'm talking about myself and I forget about what I'm talking about. My cognitive skills, my face, just stupid things like that. But you tried dating, when you've got all this shit going on, it just doesn't work. So I just got fed up with the whole lonely thing. I got fed up with I'm clearly not going to be good enough to get a job because I'm too fucking stupid. It got pretty bad. It got bad enough for me to be waking up, obviously, as I just said, in that frame of mind. But what wasn't helping is the constant beating myself up. I had 3 words to describe where I was at. It's going to piss a few people off. Loser, loner, retard. That was the 3 words I'd used to describe myself. Loser, can't even hold down a job. Never mind be able to get a job with all this shit going on. loner. I was starting to I felt like I was pushing people away. I'd already lost quite a lot of friends once I left work. And retard. Fuck me. Loser, loner, retard. Retard, obviously, because of my speech, the way my face looks, my memory, and just little things like that. It grates on me, even now. Although this is only March, it's not really been that long since. But yeah, it came down to I need to hurry up and make my mind up, because it's quite exhausting waking up every day wanting to kill yourself. It's quite exhausting. It's quite exhausting sitting there every day trying to debate which way you're gonna go. So it came down to stop talking about it and do it, or do something to fix it. So I've been to Riverside twice in the past. Both times it was like a kick up the ass. It fixed whatever was going wrong. It seemed to do the job. So fuck it. Got myself a plane ticket and headed out. Did it work? Well, I'm still alive now. I haven't offed myself, so there's something. I mean, it was hard. Obviously, I didn't want to be here around Christmas because I knew I would be on my own. COVID restrictions, yada yada yada, would mean I'm on my own. I'd get shit-faced, and being shit-faced would make it a damn sight easier to make that decision. The wrong decision. So I took myself to Riverside, gave myself a kick up the ass, or let them give me a kick up the ass, bit of a reality check. 6 weeks later, I came home. I feel like a new man. So I managed to get myself back in college, which is frustrating as fuck, because I'm, again, learning just how stupid I am. But that's not so much, well, it is, the majority of that stupidity is the brain injury. But a lot of it is I'm just plain thick regardless. So maths and English, apparently I suck at that. But yeah, my attitude's changed from where I was in November, December to where I am now. It's like two different people. But as far as the brain injury thing goes, this last year's been one of the hardest. In fact, I've compared this last year of recovery to the first year of recovery. It's just so hard to, it's one of those things. I think the only kind of person that would really understand what I'm waffling on about is somebody that's been in the boat. If I'd been watching a video like this 4 years ago, before I knew I had the brain tumour, I would have probably stopped watching by now. I'm going to be surprised if anybody's watching this entire video, but yeah. On a more positive note, I'm writing a book. The guy that, can barely string a sentence together without forgetting what he's talking about is writing a book. So this is how I'm probably going to know people have watched the video. Book name: A Trip Down the Rabbit Hole, My 10-Year Journey with a Brain Tumour. Spoiler alert, it's a book about an idiot like me, or just me, that grows his very own brain tumour and the crazy antics that unfold over 10 years while growing the tumour and evicting the tumour. yeah, there's not much else I can really say, to be honest. Brain tumours suck, brain injuries suck ass. But one thing I've learned, and for me it's a big thing, asking for help. I came bitterly close to offing myself last year. Close enough that I had my makeshift rope ready and a pack of cheap razor blades and enough booze in the fridge to, help finish that job off. All I had to do was just put my hand up and ask for help. I've got an amazing fucking team behind me. People that barely know me will have helped. All I had to do was ask for help. Yeah. So, there's a lesson to learn. There is absolutely fuck all wrong with asking for somebody to just help. I think I'm going to have to leave it there because I'm going to start waffling on, and yeah, this is not something I'm very good at. But yeah, thanks for listening to me waffle on, I guess. Let's try this again next year, or at some point